Captain Ryan Carter stepped through the shimmering blue portal, his pulse quickening. The mission was simple: explore the uncharted alien ruins discovered on the remote planet HFY. But deep inside, he knew that nothing in space was ever simple. The air around him was strangely warm, carrying a soft floral scent. The architecture of the alien chamber was unlike anything he had seen before: smooth white walls with glowing blue lines running like veins through the surface. The floor beneath his boots felt like stone, yet it pulsed faintly, almost as if the entire structure was alive. Ryan took a careful step forward, his flashlight sweeping the room. His heart pounded in his chest. He was the first human to set foot in this place, the first to unlock its secrets. Then he saw her. At first, he thought she was some kind of statue, tall, elegant, standing in the center of the room. But when she turned to face him, his breath caught in his throat. She was no statue. She was an alien princess, and she was completely unclothed. Her skin shimmered like polished silver, reflecting the soft glow of the room. Her long, flowing hair floated gently around her, as if carried by an unseen breeze. Deep violet eyes locked onto his, widening in shock. For a moment, neither of them moved. Ryan opened his mouth to speak, but his voice failed him. The princess took a sudden step back, grabbing a translucent veil from a nearby pedestal and wrapping it around herself. Who are you?" she demanded, her voice melodic yet firm. Ryan swallowed hard, raising his hand slowly to show he meant no harm. "I'm Captain Ryan Carter of the United Earth Fleet. I didn't mean to intrude." Her eyes narrowed. "You should not be here, human." Ryan didn't know whether to apologize or defend himself. "I thought this place was abandoned. Our scanners." The princess cut him off with a sharp wave of her hand. "You were deceived. You walk upon sacred ground." Ryan could tell that this meeting was going south fast. He needed to turn things around, or risk becoming an enemy of an alien empire. But before he could say another word, the walls shuddered. A deep, rumbling sound filled the air. Ryan instinctively reached for his sidearm. The princess's face paled. "They're coming," she whispered. Ryan's blood ran cold. "Who's coming?" Her violet eyes met his. "The hunters." And just like that, Ryan realized he wasn't the only uninvited guest in this ruin. Ryan Carter's instincts screamed at him. Danger was coming. The alien princess stood frozen for a second, her shimmering silver skin tense with fear. Then, without another word, she turned and ran toward the far end of the chamber. Ryan didn't need to be told twice. He sprinted after her. The walls trembled again, and a loud metallic screech echoed through the ruins. Ryan had heard many terrifying sounds in his life. Explosions, alien roars, even the vacuum of space ripping the ship apart. But this sound was different. It was cold, mechanical, and full of hunger. As they ran through the dimly lit corridors, Ryan saw strange carvings on the walls, symbols that looked ancient yet alive, pulsing with blue light. "What are we running from?" he asked, breathless. The princess glanced at him, her violet eyes sharp with urgency. "The hunters. They have found us." Ryan clenched his jaw. "Who are these hunters?" She didn't slow down. "Machines. Killers. They do not stop until their target is destroyed." Ryan cursed under his breath. "Great. Killer robots. Just what I needed." Ahead, the corridor opened into a massive hall. In the center stood a tall, glowing pillar, humming with power. The princess ran straight toward it, placing her hands on the smooth surface. Symbols lit up beneath her fingers, and the air around them shimmered. Ryan took a step closer. "What are you doing?" "I am activating the portal," she said. "It is our only escape." Ryan barely had time to respond before a thunderous crash shook the hall. The entrance behind them collapsed as something massive stepped through. Ryan turned, gripping his plasma pistol. Out of the dust emerged a hunter. It was 7 feet tall, its body sleek and black like polished obsidian. Its head had no eyes, only a single glowing red slit that pulsed like a heartbeat. Long, razor-sharp claws extended from its arms, crackling with energy. Ryan fired first. His plasma shot hit the hunter square in the chest, but the blast barely left a scorch mark. The hunter tilted its head, analyzing him. Then, with terrifying speed, it charged. Ryan barely dove aside in time. The hunter's claws slashed the air where he had been standing, leaving deep scars in the stone floor. The princess shouted, "The portal is ready." Ryan looked back. A swirling blue vortex had appeared at the pillar's center. Their escape. The hunter lunged again, faster than anything Ryan had ever seen. He rolled, barely dodging, and fired again, this time aiming at its legs. The blast struck its knee joint, and the hunter stumbled. "Move," the princess cried. Ryan didn't hesitate. He sprinted toward the portal, diving into the swirling blue light, just as the hunter roared behind him. And then, everything went dark. Ryan Carter felt like he was falling through a storm. Blue light twisted around him, his body weightless as he tumbled through the portal. His stomach lurched. He had traveled through teleporters before, but this felt different. It wasn't just movement. It was like space itself was being torn apart and stitched back together. Then, suddenly, solid ground. Ryan landed hard on a stone floor, rolling to absorb the impact. His ears rang, his vision blurry. He forced himself up, scanning his surroundings. The princess was already standing, her silver skin glowing softly in the dim light. The air was thick and warm, filled with the scent of something strange, like burning metal and blooming flowers. Ryan took a breath. They were in a massive underground chamber. The ceiling was high, covered in glowing vines that pulsed with blue energy. Strange symbols ran along the walls, similar to the ones in the ruins, but here they shone brighter, as if something had awakened. "What is this place?" Ryan asked. The princess turned to him. "A sanctuary. One of the last." Ryan frowned. "Last." Before she could answer, a deep boom echoed through the chamber. Ryan spun around, raising his plasma pistol. The portal behind them was collapsing, its swirling blue light flickering like a dying flame. And through it, he saw the hunter. The massive machine lunged forward, its glowing red eye locked onto them. But before it could step through, the portal snapped shut. The chamber shook, and then silence. Ryan exhaled. That was close. The princess didn't look relieved. She stepped toward a glowing console in the center of the room, her fingers dancing over the controls. Symbols shifted and pulsed. Ryan holstered his weapon. "Mind telling me what's going on?" "You said these hunters are machines, right? What do they want?" The princess sighed, turning to face him. "They were created long ago by my people, a powerful army built to defend our worlds." She looked away, guilt flickering in her violet eyes. "But they turned against us. They saw us as weak, imperfect." Ryan folded his arms. "Let me guess, they decided to wipe out their own creators." She nodded. "We fought back, but they were too strong. My people were nearly exterminated. The few who survived went into hiding, scattered across the galaxy." Ryan exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "So why were they in those ruins?" The princess hesitated. "Because I was there." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "You? They were hunting you." She nodded. "I am the last royal of my kind. If I die, my people's history dies with me." Ryan stared at her for a long moment. Then he smirked. "Well, princess, looks like you just got yourself a bodyguard." She blinked in surprise. "You would fight for me?" Ryan checked his plasma pistol. "I'm human. We don't like bullies. And I really don't like killer robots." The princess smiled, the first real smile he had seen from her. But before they could celebrate, the chamber shook again. Something was coming. The ground rumbled beneath Ryan's feet. Dust rained down from the ceiling, and the glowing vines flickered as if something had disturbed the energy of the chamber. Ryan immediately raised his plasma pistol, scanning the dark corners. Please tell me that's normal. The princess shook her head, her violet eyes narrowing. No, something else is here. Ryan sighed. Of course there is. A deep mechanical growl echoed through the chamber. Ryan's grip on his pistol tightened. From the shadows, a shape moved, tall, hulking, and covered in dark metallic plating. It wasn't a hunter, but it was something worse. The creature stepped into the dim light. It was part machine, part organic, its body a horrifying fusion of metal and flesh. Its arms were long and clawed, its chest pulsating with a faint blue glow. Its face was half covered in an iron-like mask, and from within, two burning yellow eyes locked onto Ryan. The princess gasped. A revenant. Ryan kept his weapon steady. A what now? The revenant snarled, its voice a mix of grinding metal and a deep guttural growl. You should not be here. Ryan exchanged a quick glance with the princess. Okay, so it talks. That's new. The revenant took a step closer. The walls seemed to shudder in response, as if the very structure of the chamber was afraid. The princess whispered urgently, "It is a corrupted warrior. A being that was once one of my people, but was taken and twisted by the hunters." Ryan's eyes widened. They turn people into machines. She nodded grimly. Not just machines, slaves, monsters. The revenant let out a deep, unnatural breath, then spoke again. The hunters know you are here. Ryan tensed. Great, they can track us. The revenant's claws twitched. You will die. Here. Ryan barely had time to react before the creature attacked. It moved fast, too fast for something its size. Ryan dove aside, rolling across the stone floor just as the revenant's claws slammed down where he had been standing. Sparks flew, the impact cracking the ground. Ryan fired 3 quick shots, blue plasma bolts striking the revenant's chest. The creature staggered, but then lunged again. The princess raised her hands, and the glowing symbols on the walls flashed brightly. A wave of energy pulsed outward, slamming into the revenant and sending it skidding backward. Ryan used the opening. He fired at its exposed joints, aiming for weak points. A direct hit to the knee made the creature stumble, and Ryan didn't hesitate. He rushed forward, delivering a hard kick to knock it off balance. The revenant roared, but the princess acted fast. She pressed her hands to the console, and a barrier of golden light surrounded the creature, trapping it. It slammed against the glowing walls, shrieking in rage. Ryan exhaled. That was close. The princess looked at him. We cannot stay. The hunters will be here soon. Ryan reloaded his pistol. Then let's move. With one last glance at the trapped revenant, he followed the princess deeper into the sanctuary. The fight wasn't over. It was only just beginning. Ryan Carter moved quickly, following the alien princess through the dimly lit tunnels of the sanctuary. The glowing blue veins on the walls pulsed like a heartbeat, casting eerie shadows around them. His grip tightened on his plasma pistol. Behind them, the trapped revenant howled in fury, slamming against the energy barrier. Cracks formed in the golden light. It wouldn't hold forever. We need to move faster, Ryan said. The princess nodded but didn't look back. There's an exit ahead, a hidden path. Ryan glanced at her. And where does it lead? To the depths, a place the hunters do not control. Ryan frowned. That sounded both good and bad. The ground rumbled again. This time, it wasn't just from the revenant's attacks. A new sound echoed through the tunnels. A metallic hum. Ryan cursed under his breath. That's them, isn't it? The princess's expression darkened. Yes, the hunters are here. Ryan clenched his jaw. Then let's go. They sprinted down the corridor. Behind them, the golden barrier shattered with a deafening boom. The revenant's furious roar filled the sanctuary. And then came the footsteps. Multiple. Ryan didn't look back. He didn't need to. The hunters were moving fast. The princess reached a massive stone door at the end of the tunnel. Strange symbols covered its surface. She pressed her hands against them, and the markings flashed with white light. The door groaned, then slowly began to slide open. Ryan turned, raising his pistol. In the distance, dark figures emerged from the shadows, tall, sleek, and deadly. The hunters had arrived. Their glowing red eyes locked onto him. VZZ. A blast of red energy shot past Ryan's head, scorching the stone wall beside him. Ryan fired back. His blue plasma bolts struck the lead hunter in the chest. Sparks flew, but the machine barely flinched. More blasts rained down on them. Ryan dove to the side, barely avoiding a shot that would have burned straight through his armor. "The door, any time now," he shouted. The princess was chanting something under her breath. The symbols on the door shifted, and suddenly, with a loud whoosh, the entrance swung open. Inside. "Now," she cried. Ryan didn't hesitate. He spun, fired a few more shots to slow the hunters down, and jumped through the doorway. The princess followed, and as soon as she crossed, she pressed her hand against the wall. The door slammed shut, cutting them off from the hunters. Ryan exhaled heavily. That was too close. The princess turned, her eyes serious. "We are not safe yet." Ryan followed her gaze. Before them stretched a vast underground cavern, dark, endless, and filled with glowing structures that seemed alive. And somewhere in that darkness, something moved. Ryan Carter's boots crunched against the rocky floor as he stepped cautiously into the vast underground cavern. A strange blue glow pulsed from towering structures, stretching into the darkness like forgotten ruins. The princess moved beside him, her violet eyes scanning the area. "We are in the depths now. This place is ancient." Ryan kept his plasma pistol raised. "Yeah, ancient usually means traps, monsters, or both." A deep hum filled the air, vibrating through his bones. He felt like something was watching them. The princess pointed ahead. "There is a path that leads deeper. We must keep moving." Ryan exhaled. "Right. And what exactly are we looking for?" She hesitated. "A weapon." Ryan stopped. "A weapon?" She nodded. "A power my ancestors hid here long ago. If we find it, we might stand a chance against the hunters." Ryan smirked. "Now you're speaking my language." They moved forward, stepping carefully between the massive, glowing structures. Strange symbols covered the walls, shifting and pulsing like they were alive. Ryan ran his fingers over them. "This place doesn't feel dead. It feels like it's waiting for something." The princess gave him a serious look. It is waiting for a warrior." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "And let me guess, you think that's me?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pressed her hand against a large stone pillar at the center of the cavern. The symbols beneath her fingers flared with golden light, and suddenly, Ryumbl. The ground shook violently. Dust rained from above, and cracks spread across the rocky surface. Ryan stepped back, gripping his weapon. "Ah, princess, what did you just do?" The princess's eyes widened. "I awakened it." Before Ryan could ask what she meant, the entire cavern roared to life. The glowing structures rose, shifting and forming into something new. Titanic stone figures, their eyes blazing with energy. And then, from the shadows, a deep growl. Ryan spun around, his heart pounding. From the darkness, a massive creature emerged. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its body was a fusion of metal and ancient stone, its glowing blue veins pulsing like a heartbeat. The creature's 4 glowing eyes locked onto them. Then, in a voice that rumbled like thunder, it spoke. "Who dares awaken the guardian of the depths?" Ryan sighed. "Great. Another boss fight." The princess took a deep breath. "Ryan, if we do not prove ourselves, it will destroy us." Ryan cracked his knuckles. "Then let's make this quick." The guardian roared, shaking the cavern. Ryan raised his plasma pistol, ready for battle. Ryan Carter barely had time to react before the Guardian of the Depths attacked. The massive creature lunged forward, its stone and metal limbs slamming into the ground with a force that sent shockwaves through the cavern. Ryan leaped aside, rolling across the rocky floor as debris flew everywhere. The princess raised her hands, and the ancient symbols on the walls flashed with golden light. She shouted, "We must prove our strength. The Guardian will not let us pass unless we are worthy." Ryan fired 3 plasma shots at the Guardian's chest. The blue bolts hit, but the creature barely flinched. Its massive glowing eyes locked onto him. "Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be that easy," Ryan muttered. The Guardian swung its enormous arm, aiming straight for him. Ryan ducked, barely dodging the attack. The air whooshed above his head, and the force of the swing nearly knocked him off his feet. The princess moved swiftly, pressing her hands against the glowing ruins. Strange energy pulsed from her fingertips, and suddenly, golden spears of light shot from the walls, striking the Guardian's body. The Guardian let out a deep roar, staggering backward. Ryan saw an opening. "Gotcha." He charged forward, dodging falling debris, and leaping onto a cracked pillar near the Guardian's shoulder. Using the momentum, he jumped onto the creature's back, grabbing onto the ridges of its stone armor. The Guardian shook violently, trying to throw him off. Ryan held on, his muscles straining. He spotted a glowing core on the Guardian's upper spine, its weak spot. Bingo! Ryan pulled a small explosive charge from his belt and planted it directly on the core. Then, using all his strength, he jumped off, rolling as he hit the ground. "Princess, shield up!" Ryan shouted. The princess thrust her hands forward, and a golden energy barrier formed around them. Ryan pressed the detonator. Boom! The explosive ignited, sending a shockwave through the cavern. The Guardian let out a thunderous roar, its body shaking as cracks spread across its massive form. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the Guardian staggered, its glowing eyes dimmed, and with one final, rumbling breath, it collapsed. The cavern trembled, but the structures remained intact. Ryan exhaled, lowering his weapon. Well, that was fun. The princess stepped forward, her expression filled with awe. She knelt beside the Guardian's fallen body and placed her hand on its chest. The ancient symbols on the Guardian's body glowed one last time. Then, a small orb of blue energy rose from its core, floating toward the princess. She caught it gently in her hands. Her eyes widened. "The heart of the depths, the power we need." Ryan smirked. "Told you we'd win." But before they could celebrate, a new sound echoed through the tunnels. The hunters were coming. Ryan Carter barely had a moment to breathe. The heart of the depths pulsed softly in the princess's hands, its blue energy swirling like a living thing. But the sound of marching footsteps echoed through the cavern. The hunters had arrived. Ryan turned, gripping his plasma pistol. From the dark tunnels, 4 sleek figures emerged. Their black armor gleamed under the cavern's blue light, their red eyes glowing like fire. One of them stepped forward, taller than the others. His armor had golden markings, and his voice was cold and mechanical. "Step away from the artifact," he commanded. Ryan smirked. "Yeah, that's not happening." The lead hunter tilted his head. "Then you will die." The moment those words left its mouth, the battle began. The hunters moved fast, too fast. Ryan barely dodged as a red energy blast streaked past his head, melting the stone behind him. He fired back. Blue plasma bolts struck one hunter in the chest, but the enemy barely flinched. Its armor absorbed the impact. Ryan cursed. "Tough guys, huh?" The princess acted quickly. Holding the heart of the depths, she raised her other hand. Golden energy pulsed outward, forming a barrier between them and the hunters. "Ryan, we cannot fight them here," she shouted. Ryan gritted his teeth. "Yeah, I figured." The hunters were already adapting. One of them raised its arm, and a shockwave cannon emerged from its wrist. Ryan's instincts screamed, "G-eat Deo-un." Boom. The shockwave slammed into the barrier, shattering it like glass. The princess staggered back, gripping the artifact tightly. Ryan rolled behind a fallen pillar for cover. "Okay, new plan," he yelled. The princess looked at him, determination in her eyes. "We need to reach the surface. The heart of the depths must be activated at the sky altar." Ryan groaned. "Of course it does." The hunters advanced, their weapons charging. Ryan grabbed a grenade from his belt, pulled the pin, and threw it. Boom. Smoke and fire erupted in the cavern, momentarily blinding the hunters. "Go. Now." Ryan grabbed the princess's hand, and they sprinted toward a tunnel on the far side of the chamber. The ground shook beneath their feet as the hunters recovered and pursued. Red laser blasts zipped past them, missing by inches. The tunnel ahead was narrow, the walls pulsing with ancient symbols. Ryan didn't know where it led, but he knew one thing. If they didn't keep running, they were dead. The princess gripped the heart of the depths tighter. "We are close. We must not stop." Ryan nodded, heart pounding. The final battle was coming. Ryan Carter ran as fast as his legs could carry him. The narrow tunnel twisted ahead, its glowing walls pulsing like a living heartbeat. Behind him, the sound of heavy footsteps and energy blasts echoed. The hunters were closing in. The princess clutched the heart of the depths tightly, her breathing heavy but determined. "We are close to the surface," she said. Ryan risked a glance back. The hunters were relentless, their red eyes glowing like burning coals. One of them raised its arm, and a pulse cannon charged with a deep hum. "Oh no, you don't," Ryan muttered. He grabbed a second grenade from his belt, pulled the pin with his teeth, and threw it. Boom! The explosion shook the tunnel, collapsing part of the passage and blocking the hunters. For now. "Not bad," Ryan said, grinning. The princess nodded but didn't slow down. "The sky altar is just ahead." Ryan pushed forward. The tunnel sloped upward, and soon a bright light appeared in the distance, the exit. But just as they neared it, a shadow moved. Ryan skidded to a stop. From the light, a tall figure stepped into view, the lead hunter. Unlike the others, his black armor shimmered with golden veins, and his red eyes burned brighter. Ryan raised his pistol. "Of course you made it." The hunter tilted its head. "You cannot escape, human. Surrender the artifact." Ryan smirked. "Yeah, not happening." The hunter moved lightning fast. In the blink of an eye, he swung his arm, and Ryan barely dodged as a blade of pure energy sliced through the air, missing his face by inches. Ryan rolled to the side, firing a plasma shot, but the hunter deflected it with his bare hand. "Great, this guy's extra tough." The princess stepped forward, holding the heart of the depths high. Golden energy surged from the artifact, forming rings of light around her. The hunter's red eyes narrowed. "That power does not belong to you." The princess's voice was firm. "It belongs to my people, and I will use it to stop you." The hunter lunged. Ryan reacted instantly, tackling the princess aside as the hunter's blade stabbed into the ground where she had stood. The impact cracked the stone, sending shards flying. Ryan coughed. "Okay, new plan." The princess pressed her hands on the artifact. The golden rings expanded, and suddenly, the entire cavern shook. The ceiling split open, revealing the night sky above. A massive stone platform began to rise, carrying them toward the surface. The hunter leaped forward, but the princess unleashed a wave of golden energy, knocking him back. Ryan grinned. "That's more like it." The platform shot upward, toward the sky altar, toward the final battle. The stone platform carried Ryan and the princess high above the ruins, rising toward the sky altar. The night sky stretched around them, filled with stars and swirling cosmic storms. But they weren't alone. With a deafening boom, the lead hunter leaped onto the platform, landing in a crouch. His red eyes burned like fire, and his golden-marked armor gleamed under the starlight. Ryan raised his plasma pistol. You just don't quit, do you? The hunter stood tall, gripping his energy blade, its edge humming with power. You are not worthy of the heart of the depths. The princess held the artifact tightly, its golden energy pulsing through her fingers. I will decide who is worthy, she said. The hunter moved fast, too fast. One moment, he was standing still. The next, he lunged straight at them. Ryan rolled aside as the energy blade sliced the air, missing him by inches. The princess stepped back, her hands glowing, as she called upon the power of the heart. Ryan fired 2 plasma shots, but the hunter deflected them effortlessly, swiping his blade through the air. Sparks flew as the shots disintegrated. Ryan clenched his jaw. All right, hand to hand it is. The hunter slashed at him again, but this time, Ryan was ready. He ducked under the attack, spun, and drove his fist into the hunter's side. It was like punching solid steel. Ryan grunted as the impact sent pain through his arm. The hunter didn't even flinch. Instead, he grabbed Ryan by the throat and lifted him off the ground. The princess acted fast. She raised the heart of the depths, and a wave of golden energy burst from her hands, slamming into the hunter's chest. The hunter staggered back, releasing Ryan. Ryan gasped for breath. Remind me to never let one of these guys grab me again. The princess stepped forward, her eyes glowing with golden light. It's time to end this. She lifted the heart of the depths above her head. The sky altar responded, its ancient symbols igniting with golden flames. The energy swirled into a blinding storm, growing stronger with every second. The hunter charged forward, roaring, but it was too late. With a final cry, the princess released the energy. A massive golden wave erupted from the heart, sweeping across the platform. The hunter froze, his body shaking violently as the energy engulfed him. Then, he was gone. Ryan shielded his eyes from the light. When it faded, the hunter was nothing but dust, scattered into the wind. Silence filled the sky. The princess lowered the heart, her breathing heavy. It is over. Ryan let out a breathless chuckle. Yeah, we won. Above them, the stars shone brighter, as if the universe itself had witnessed their victory.